Hello, class. This is the review that we did in class today. First thing you need to ask yourself for tomorrow's test is what two line segments am I looking at here? Looking at this picture, this is a tangent. I know that because it only hits the circle at one point. And this is a secant. And I know that because it runs through my circle and has 2 points of intersection. Now, the formula that we had discussed in class throughout the week that we use is t squared equals WO, which again stands for the tangent squared equals the whole secant times the outside, which is right here. Okay, now, first thing that you should do in your diagram is mark the whole secant, which would be x plus 5 or 5 plus x. We are adding in our diagram and then multiplying when we get to our formula. Okay, now the tangent is 6 squared. The whole secant is x plus 5, which I should put in parentheses. And the outside of the secant is x. Okay, now you follow your orders of operation here. 6 squared is 36. We are going to distribute the x into the parentheses. X times x is x squared. X times 5 is positive 5x. All right. Now, what you used from algebra last year is this is a quadratic equation. I know that because it has an x squared. You have to get this equation to say equals 0. So I'm going to bring this 36 over to the right side by subtracting it using the inverse operation. I could put the equals 0 down here. If you're uncomfortable with the way that looks, you can always move it over to the right-hand side. X squared plus 5x minus 36, because there were no like terms. Now we have to factor this expression to come up with our two possible answers for x. When factoring, this is a trinomial. Now, as we discussed in class, this is x times x. I circle my last sign, which means that the signs have to be different. So I put a positive and a negative in there. And then I think of the numbers that multiply to 36 that subtract to 5, which would be 9 and 4. And you have to put the bigger number, the 9, with the sign of whatever the middle term is, which would happen to be the positive. Okay, and then over here would be, negative 4. Drop down the equals 0, make your t, and set both factors equal to 0, which would give you an answer of negative 9 and positive 4. Now, in this case, since you do have a negative 9, if you tried to plug that into your diagram, that would give you a negative length, which cannot happen in geometry. So you're going to reject that negative answer, and your solution is x equals 4. Okay. Now, also, you have to read the question to make sure that they didn't ask you to find a particular line segment. And in this question, they only asked you to find x, so you know that you are done. Okay, so that's one type of question where you have a tangent meeting up with a secant. Okay, the next type of question that we did is when you have two secants. Okay, so two secants, again, are line segments that run through your circle that start at an external point. Okay, now the formula that we used in class was WO, which stands for the whole segment times the outside equals the whole segment times the outside. All right, this whole secant is 20, 16 plus 4. This whole secant is x plus 8. All right, so when you substitute into the formula for this one, the top is 20 for the whole thing. The outside is 4. On the other secant, the whole thing is x plus 8. The outside is 8. All right, now you're going to, same concept, you're going to use your order of operation. 20 times 4 is 80. You're going to distribute, just like the last question, into here, which gives you 8x plus 64. And then you're going to solve for x. Now, this isn't a quadratic equation. This is much simpler. This is a linear equation. So all you have to do is isolate the variable here. So the opposite of positive 64 is negative 64. Subtract to the other side. Those cancel. 80 minus 64 is 16. Drop down your 8x. And the opposite of 8 times x is dividing by 8. All right, and x turns out to be 2. Once again, reread the question to make sure that they did not ask you to find a particular length of a segment, which they did not in this case. Tune in next time. I will discuss how to solve PP equals PP.